the version 9 sales orders webinar. Right, so I'm going to minimize my, my little deal here. Hide that panel. Okay, and then we're going to start. I got a little out, didn't it? Back over here. All right, so what you see in front of you is the main menu for Retail Pro, and we are not really going to cover every little in and out with the sales orders in this meeting. What this webinar is about is to try to show you some of the the highlights of how you do a sales order, what they're for, okay, and some of the things that when you're doing this in training, sometimes you miss some of the finer points or the config or the setup or whatever. So hopefully what we're going to do with this webinar is to cover the different uses for sales orders and how they relate to controlling your inventory, okay, and some of the other config settings that affect how they're used, right? So in general, a sales order is a plan to sell somebody something at a later date. That can include a layaway. It can include a special order, okay, which in most people's cases is I'd like to, customer comes into your store, they say I really like that shoe or whatever, but you don't carry the a 10 triple E, right? So can you get it for me? If that's your plan, then you can say yes, I'll take an order for that, and I will try to get it from the manufacturer. And just to make sure you're going to come back and get it, I'm going to take a deposit against it, so I'm not stuck with that 10 triple E in case my customer doesn't come back. Okay, so that's typically a special order. Customer order can be anything that is that you might have in stock, but for whatever reason you're not actually delivering it right this minute. So maybe you have to get it from another store. Maybe it's something that you have on order and it's not here yet. Maybe it's something that other special circumstances where you have something and maybe you're going to perform a service on it before you deliver it to the customer. All of those things can be covered by sales orders. All right, and so most of you have a sales order tab on your main screen. Okay, and if you go into sales orders, you'll get the list view for sales orders. I have some that are already created in here, and as opposed to going through and creating these from scratch, we're going to work with some of these, right? Because creating a special order, a customer order, or a layaway is a transaction, and basically they all function the same way. You hit the new button, right? You tell the system what type of order you're using. Okay, and I did not mention store registry and company registry. That is a type of a sales order that is, basically like a wish list. Okay, so you can make a wish list of items, kind of like a baby registry or wedding registry. Some people use them for team outfits, right? So in the sporting goods industry, a team may register with your organization and say, okay, they need these baseball cleats and these socks and this team jersey and this, Under Armour, whatever it is. And you can make a list, so then when the team member comes in to get their stuff, you have a list, and you can have a salesperson help them with that list, okay, and complete a sale without having to, go figure out what all the items are that this person needs. It already has a handy-dandy little list for you, okay? But customer order, special order, layaway, basically the transaction procedure is the same, right? You pick the type, okay? You have to assign it to a customer. That's a requirement for customer orders, even for the registries. If we're going to order something for someone, or if we're going to put something on layaway and they're going to give us money, we need to know who that money belongs to, so that we can deliver it to the right person when the time comes. Okay, so that's crucial, right? So I have just a John Doe in here. We're going to create that that item. we, in this case, it's a customer order. I'm just going to pick something off my menu here to say Mr. Doe is ordering this item. And let's say, for instance, that I don't have any in stock, but I know I have a PO coming, or I'm getting it from another store, right? So I can just save this right now. So now I know when I get this item in, okay, that I have an order for John Doe. You notice I didn't take any money at this point. That's an option. Okay, so with all three of the main types of sales orders, customer order, sales order, or special order, and layaway, okay, you can require a deposit. Okay, you can set up the percentages for each of the separate types distinctly. Okay, so in customer order, I do not have a deposit required. Okay, so somebody can place a customer order. I can record their name, etc. Call them when it comes in, and they can choose whether to come and pick it up or not. Okay, I don't have any money securing it, so if they don't come pick it up, I'm free to sell it, right? Because I haven't taken any money against it. Okay, so this is a way that you can, basically you're pre-holding things for somebody when they come up. Now, and I apologize, I'm fighting a scratchy throat, so if you hear me coughing, I'm trying to keep that to a minimum. These special orders that we've created, you can see here, this one here for Jim Johnson, right? That is flagged as a special order. Okay, got quite an enthusiastic price on this one here. I wonder what happened there. But in any case, right, we've taken all the money for this transaction, right? So he's ordered these 2 t-shirts, and he'd ordered this really expensive t-shirt. Okay, and if I look down here on the SO deposits tab, right here down at the bottom, so I've got a page for SO details and a page for SO deposits. If I go here, we have taken a cash deposit for this entire transaction, right? So he's already paid for it. So when this merchandise comes in, okay, we can deliver it to him. We can call him and say, hey, your Big Hairy Dog tees are in, and that Bald Eagle special limited edition covered with Swarovski crystals or whatever the heck this is in as well. So you've already paid for it. Come and get it. Okay. So the other thing that I might point out at this juncture is each of these types of transactions or type of orders, a customer order, a special order, a layaway. Let me stretch that out a little bit so you can see that. Okay, each of these can be assigned to their own doc design. Okay, which I went ahead and set that up in my workstation preferences, so that if I have a special order and I hit the print button, okay, I can have the special order doc design automatically print. Now I have them previewed up to my screen. Okay, so if I click the print button, this is an example of what a special order form can look like. Okay, so we can have all the customer info in it. If we've got separate billing and shipping, we can have all that on it. We can have line item detail, whether or not they paid for it all, and whether we still owe them something, right? And so in this particular case, this special order is showing that they already picked up their BHDPs, right? So SO due, right, is 0, but they haven't picked up that nice expensive one yet, right? So we can call them and say, your nice expensive one is here, come get it. The other thing to point out about the doc design is we can show history of payments, right? So down here at the bottom, they paid for, let's see, on 4/03, right? They paid this amount. On 4/13, same day, they paid that amount. So there's no balance due on this, but we do have this history that can print on the special order. So if you take 50% up front, okay, and then they pay the other 50% when they pick it up, that's going to be outlined on your doc design if you want. All right, so I'm going to close this doc design. Okay, and then I'm going to look at a customer order. So this customer order that we just created, right? If I print, okay, this one I think looks very similar, right? So it's showing that Mr. John Doe came in, right, and we promised to get a BHD T-shirt for him. Okay, it's still open, and he owes us $17.71 when he picks it up. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to show is on a layaway. So I did this layaway earlier today, and I've made one payment. Okay, and I wanted to show you this because an example of a doc design that you can do is a 40-column one. So a lot of you in the store may not have access to an 80-column printer, and you may not need, that much, room to print the information. So if you have layaways in particular, right, and somebody comes in and makes a payment, then what you want is to print, hey, you've got this stuff on layaway, okay, this is what you still owe, and here are the payments that you made. Now that might not come up too well on your screen, so let me bump the size up down here. All right, so I wanted to point out here, here's a list of the payments that you've made, when you made them, and how you tendered them. Okay, so one thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how to take interim payments, right, so that, and then we'll come back to this layaway, and I'll show you what the difference is, and then we'll look at it when we pick it up. All right, so that's an example of a 40-column. Any of the designs that you use for sales orders can be done on either an 80-column or a 40-column. All right, what I want to do too is show you where you configure the percent discount. That is a system preference. Okay, so I'm going to go out to the main menu, go to options, go to system preferences, in local preferences, okay, and point of sale and sales orders under the options section. Okay, this is really the only section in system preference that has to do with anything concerning sales orders directly. So here's the minimum percentage that I was talking about earlier. In layaways, I have a minimum 20, and I've required it. Okay, so if you want to put something on layaway, I'm going to ask for at least a little money up front. For the customer order and the special order, I currently do not require anything. But what I can do for a customer order is say, if you want me to hold it for you, let's take some money. Now, I don't have to require that, right? I can say 50%, it's going to suggest 50%, and you can bypass it easily. Okay, and so I'm going to show you the difference between 50% requiring and 50% not requiring. Okay, so for special orders, we're going to require 50% up front. For customer orders, we're going to suggest 50% up front. Okay, and while we're in here, okay, there is some settings about recording sale. Okay, and recording sale is the process where you tell the system that you've delivered this to the customer and it comes out of your inventory on hand. Until you record the sale or until you generate a receipt that tells the system that you've picked that item up, okay, your inventory is committed. You still own it, right? So if I look at a sales order, okay, where something is still open, and I can look at this customer order here, or no, let's look at, yeah, we can look at this customer order. Okay, so if I look at this customer order and I look at this item, so I have it on order for a customer. Okay, I haven't sent it to them, so it's still due. So if it's still due, it's committed out to that customer. So this button right here, if I highlight this item and hit committed, okay, that's going to show me, or it's supposed to show me, my special order. So let's see, where am I? I'm in the wrong store. Yeah, BHD store 1, right, okay. So this is the order that I just created in front of you, right, and I owe the customer 1. Okay, so plan available means that I actually had a -8 on hand in this, so this is not a very good example. Okay, but if I go back to, I'm getting my company button down here. So I actually have a PO here that's open for this, and an ASN that's open for this. So I have some on the road. I have one on the road here and one on the road here. Okay, so I have, when this one comes in, right, I would want to give it to that customer. Okay, and you know, like I said, this is would not look normal, because normally if you have -8, there's something else wrong in your system, and it wouldn't be eating up your available. All right, so what we can do is, let's just fake this here. I'm going to add some fake inventory here to this item so it looks more normal. 1 second. All right, so store on hand for store 1. Let's say we've got 5. Come on. Not 55, just 5. Okay, and okay. Oops. Okay, that might not work. All right, so I got a problem in my price levels here, so I'm not going to be able to prove that to you. All right, so the committed tab can tell you what you have committed out, right? That's a sales order. So I've taken an order from a customer, and I owe that customer that item when it comes in. And the bottom half, the purchase orders down here are committed in. That means I have this on the road. So this committed thing can be really handy if you do a lot of sales orders. One thing, right, that you might want to take into account. Let me cancel anything that I've done here. I want to look on this layaway item, right? So a layaway, you have it in the back, right? So you still own it. But if I look at committed on something that's on layaway, committed, right here. Okay, so, and it's store 1. Okay, so this sales order here, right, shows that that thing is committed, right? So if we look at our available inventory, right, we should not be able, we should not sell this one because it's sitting in the back reserved for this customer. All right, so it's not obvious here whether the thing is sitting in the back or you just haven't gotten it in, okay? But it should be reserved for the customer, and that's what this display is trying to tell you. Okay, so part of what we talk about here is taking deposits and managing the money on these transactions, right? So on this screen here, we know how much we've taken against the sales order, okay, and whether or not they still owe us something, okay. There's another field out here on the edge, which evidently got taken off. Let me add that back. So when you fill the order, right, you no longer have you no longer owe the customer anything, right? So if I look at this one, right, so we don't owe the customer anything. In other words, we don't have a deposit balance outstanding. We don't have a balance due. So the customer doesn't owe us anything. We don't owe the customer anything, right? We filled this order complete, right? So quantity ordered, quantity sent, okay, this one's done. Okay, so when it's done, okay, you're going to inactivate it. Right now I'm looking at sales orders, only the active ones. So part of managing your sales order is when you're done, okay, you want to inactivate it so you're only looking at the stuff that you still care about on this front screen. Okay, it doesn't automatically inactivate when you pick it all up. That's something that you do to manage your active list. So you tell the system when you're done with it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and inactivate this one because it's done. All right, so the rest of these, right, are either we owe somebody something or they owe us or whatever. They're all 100% unfilled, or in this case he's picked up 2 out of the 3 items, right? In this case, it looks like he's picked up 1 out of the 2 items, all right? So these things are in a state of a flux, right? So what I wanted to do was look at this layaway, right? So this customer came in, they put 10 bucks down, and they're supposed to be paying over time, right? So if we're taking an interim deposit on this, you're going to go to the sales order screen, right? You're going to hit this SO deposit button. Okay, that's the existing payment, right? One that's already made. So if we're making a new payment, we're going to hit new. Okay, that's the balance that's left, right? So if they're not paying off the whole balance, okay, then you're going to put in how much they're going to pay. Okay, you're going to hit the tender button. Okay, and then you're going to tell me how they're paying for it, right? I'm just going to take cash. It makes it easy, right? Now, if I print and update here, all I'm going to get is a printout that says you took 10 bucks in, right, on this sales order. It's not going to list the items or whatever. So generally, we teach people, if you're taking an interim deposit, you're just going to update only that deposit. Okay, and then once you're done, if you want to give the customer a receipt, okay, you can hit the print button here, okay, and you will get this the form that goes with the layaway, which shows what items are still on the layaway and your payment history. So down here, when we looked at this before, I had 1 cash payment. Now I've got 2, and they still owe us $15.43. Okay, so that's how you take an interim deposit. Okay, we still, the merchandise is still committed. It hasn't left the building, but we've taken a total of 20 bucks on this. They still owe us $15.43. All right. Sorry. All right. So before we move on to looking how we're going to pick these things up, right? I wanted to create a new order now that I've changed the deposits. So if I go to customer order, okay, and I tell Mr. Doe's going to order something, and I put in an item. Okay, let's say one of these. Okay, and I hit the save button. When I hit the save button, it's going to suggest deposit. So this is what it looks like when you're suggesting the deposit and not requiring it. So your choices are pay the whole thing, pay the 50%, which is this guy right there, or don't pay anything at all, or let me pick my amount. Okay, and so in this particular case, if we say we're paying $5.32, but he says, you know what, I'm just going to give you a 5, is that okay? You can override that, change the deposit amount, hit the tender, take his 5 bucks. Okay, update only, because generally what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to print him the sheet that shows here's what you ordered, here's how much you paid, here's how much you're still due. Okay. Now, if you're doing one where it's required, I just want to show you real quick what that looks like. So on the special orders, we're requiring a discount or a deposit, sorry. So we're gonna, that's not what I want. All right, so we're gonna pick an item. Okay, and when I hit the save now, right, you get these 2 buttons, right? These are your choices. To pay the whole thing, pay half, right? If you want them to get away with less than half, that is an option that you can control by employee rights. I'm logged in as somebody that's sysadmin rights, so I have the rights to override that amount and take less than 50%. Okay, but you can restrict that if you want, and that's how the require works, right? So cash and okay, and update only, and then back to print here, right? And so here's the item I've ordered. Here's my $8 deposit and balance due $8.30. All right, so one thing before we go into picking things up, for those of you who take special orders and you need to put them on a purchase order, there is an option here that's generate a purchase order. So when you have an SO and you take an order and you want to make sure that you write a purchase order for it, that's what that button is for. It's going to write a purchase order, give it a new purchase order number, and it's just going to have this one item on it, but it's going to have the link. It's going to know that it came from this SO. Okay, so I just want to show you that real quick. Generate purchase order. Okay, this is the purchase order that it created. Okay, and you can see in the header of the PO, there's a link back to that SO. Okay, so some people use this when they have special orders where, you know, they're very unique items, or they don't have minimums they need to meet from the vendor, right? That, you know, it's going to cost them just as much in freight to order this thing as it would be to pay for it, right? So you might be adding this to an existing order. You might be pulling it off something you already have outstanding, but this option does exist where you can generate a PO from the sales order and have that link here. So when you do that, let me just whip to the PO list really quick. Okay, and there is that field, SO number, that can be added here to your PO list view. So sales order number, so add it real quick here. Sales order number, maybe it's SO, can't remember, SO, or maybe I'm not remembering right. Okay, SO number. I was pretty sure it was on here. Maybe it's already on here and I just missed it. PO number, nope. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be on here, so I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to locate it. It's not hidden. All right. So I think you can get SO number on here, but I can't pull it out of my memory banks just right this second. Okay. You probably can filter to those things that have an SO number. Let's just look at that really quick. SO, nope. Okay, so sales order number. Okay, so obviously I'm completely hallucinating on the SO number, but it is on the header of the PO, right? And so we can make that available to you when you go to receive it, I believe. But anyway, if you want to follow that further, we can talk about it offline. Send me an email, and you know, if you're really interested in dealing with this part, generate PO, we can explore that individually. All right, so we got these orders, and in some cases you've taken some money, right? And so now it comes to the question of how do you deliver it? What do you need to do, right, in order to complete the sales order? Okay. Now, there are two ways of telling the system that the customer is actually picking this up. Okay, the first and simplest way is using this record sale button. Okay, so this customer order here, right? So the customer still owes us some money, right? So we don't really want to record that until the customer pays for the whole thing. Okay, but this button right here, let's see, do I have this set? Hang on one second here. There's a choice in your system preferences, sales orders options right here. So customer order, we're going to require all the money, right? Sales order, we're going to require all the money. Final. Okay, so those settings that I just changed, right? So now if I look at this customer order, record sales grayed out, right? So I can't record sale on this until I have all the money, right? And so none of these, right, I can record sale on until, that one's already been picked up. None of these I can actually record sale because I don't have all the money. So let's go and talk about the different ways that we can deal with getting the money in here. So first way is in the sales order screen. Okay, I can take a deposit, right? So I can go to the sales order screen. I can say SO deposits. Okay, I can say new, right? And it knows I still got $5.63 to collect, right? So I can say tender it in whatever method the customer is paying for it. Okay, and so now this thing is paid for, right? So I've got a deposit balance of $10.63. I have a balance due of 0, right? And so now record sale is an option, right? So if I click the record sale button, okay, it's going to, so if I look at this form view here, I've got one on order, it's not sent, I owe it to the customer, right? So this has not been taken out of my inventory. When I hit record sale, okay, you got a choice here if you're printing the customer a receipt right now. Okay, it should look something like this. Not sure what this is actually. It's going straight to the printer, so it should look something like this, right? So showing you ordered one and it's no longer due. Okay, and here's a history of your payments, right? So this can serve as your receipt for pickup. Okay, so this one has been completed, right? Balance due 0, deposit balance 0. We don't owe them anything. They don't owe us anything. That item is now out of our system, 0% unfilled, right? So that one's ready to inactivate. Customer owns it, right? And so if I go in and I look at the committed here on this item, right, I no longer have that SO open. Okay, it's been picked up. Okay, so that's method number 1. Okay, and you can set the system so you can't allow that until the whole thing is paid for, which we would recommend because you want the money before you mark it as being sold to the customer in most cases. All right, so that's way number 1, right? If you're the way number 2, okay, is to be in the go from the receipts screen. All right, so if I'm in receipts, where you are normally all day long, okay, and you're in a new receipt, okay, you can reference a PO number, or I'm sorry, an SO number. So over here, right, where I have sales order number, okay, I don't have to know what customer it is. I can hit the 3 little dots. It'll go over into the lookup, right? So here I can say, let's say customer is finalizing this layaway right here. Okay, so they're ready to pay it off and take it home. Sorry. So you pick it off the list. Okay, so this knows who the order's for, so it automatically fills the customer info in. Okay, and you'll notice here that it doesn't fill any items in. Okay, until you go to SO items over here on the side. Okay, so now what I've seen is what's up with the items on the order. So I can see that we have not delivered anything on this order. And oh, by the way, if you've got any fees or shipping associated with this thing, you have a choice of using part or all of it. Okay, when you do the pickup. Okay, but in this case, right, we're picking up both these items, so I can hit this green check due button, right? And this is telling me that I don't have any on hand to deliver. All right, so on the receipt, right, I'm selling this and I'm selling this, and I pull them off the SO items, right? So this is going to mark that layaway as these items as being picked up. Now the system knows that you have deposits that already apply to this. So when you go to tender, it should automatically prompt you to use the SO deposit. So most of the time you're going to do that. Okay, we have taken 20 bucks. Okay, we're going to use the whole thing. That's an option if you're picking up partial. Sorry, I apologize. If you're using all of the deposit, you just leave that the way it is. You say okay. Okay, it uses that deposit and calculates what we still owe. All right, so we still need to collect $15.43 from this customer in order to let them take this stuff home. All right, so we have to satisfy this transaction by taking some money. Okay, and then from this side, if we want to really, okay. All right, so I've got something a little wonky. Charge, tender, PO, setup not completed. All right, so apologize for that. Yes, and then close. I'm gonna have to finish this by tendering the whole thing. So bear with me here. Receipt total, tender over, update. All right, it's going to be really mad at me now. Okay, delete, yes, close, cancel. Okay, see if I can fix that little thing really quick here. That's a system pref that has to do with taking deposits. Tender, so deposit. Okay, not that. So fees, POA, active. Not seeing that. All right, so this is charge maybe. Let's try this. Tender requirements, charge. Okay. Let's see, that does it. The only other thing that it could be is I've got some plugin on here that's doing this. So let me just check this really quick. Yes, this. Okay. Let's try to turn that off or exit. Right. All right. All right. So I have a problem with that. I may not be able to show you how this completes. Okay, let me try one more thing and see if anything I changed made a difference. I'm going to recall another special order or sales order. All right. Let's take this one and say okay. All right, SO items. Okay, you do. Okay. Right, tender. Okay, don't have a deposit on this one. All right, so in this case, right, I picked an order when I did not have a deposit. Okay, I went to SO items. Okay, I said I want to pick this thing up. Okay, it already knows that. Okay, right? And since I don't have a deposit, it's going to let me finish this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take some money here. Okay, I'm going to update. Still mad at me. Okay. All right. Okay. I apologize for not being able to get through one of these. Okay. However, right, when you, if you do pull this out of a receipt, right, you should be able to use the deposit. It'll tell you what's left. You can take what's left, and when you print, you would see what's been delivered on this receipt and how it's paid for. So essentially, if I look at, let's see, one of these, like that one, right? Okay, you would get a receipt that looks something like this. Okay, so we purchased this. We paid for it with a deposit. So let's see, can we see that? Let's bump that up a little bit. Okay, so we bought this item. The receipt total is $1063, and we paid for it with a deposit. Okay, so that's what this is all about. This is similar to what the receipt would look like if you're using a deposit. And then if we had to tender the rest, right, we would show cash tender. Okay, we got duplicate receipts on this. Okay, so that's a little bit of a hitch in my get along. However, any of you who are using sales orders, you know, most people end up deciding to do it from the receipt screen, okay, because it gives you some flexibility. So in the sales order screen, if you record sale, you can only record sale on item or on transactions where you haven't delivered anything. In the sales order world, sometimes people order 3 or 4 things. One of those things come in, right, and we can allow them to pick up one of the items and leave the rest of them on order. Okay, and if you're allowing that, then this record sale button is not going to work in all cases. Okay, so for that reason, a lot of people who are doing layaways in-house would always use the receipt screen. Okay, go new receipt, and then find the sales order here and pull the items in, SO items. Right, and so one of these items, let's see, we pick this. Sure. Yeah. Okay, so if I look at SO items here, I think this thing had 3 things on it, so I could decide I just wanted to pick the one up. Okay, it would put that on the receipt. Okay, I could tender it out. Okay, and it doesn't look like we've taken a deposit on this thing, so let's see if we get lucky here. Okay, so it's going to let me pick this one up. Okay, so if I pick one up or not, okay. All right. Anyway, if we pick one of these up, then I can't record sale on this item after that point. Right. And so for that reason, if you're doing any kind of sales orders where you might have them pick up an order or pick up part of the order before all of it's finished, right, then it's easier to train people one way to do things, i.e. use a receipt. All right, so one other thing about recording sale. Okay, so there's also, so for things that we've already recorded sale on, okay, if for some reason that customer wants to return it, right, or you made a mistake and did a record sale on the wrong thing, there's record return. right? So you can see that says record return when it's already something that's already been picked up. If I highlight something that has not been picked up, right, it says record sale, even though I can't actually record sale on this one because I haven't taken all the money. All right, so let's see, we're 15, we're going to talk about that. All right, so before we go any deeper in what we've got right here, I wanted to show you a few of the reports that are available that come with Retail Pro that concern sales orders and managing them. All right, so the reports are all in the reports icon, Retail Pro reports. I've already got it open here and launched. Okay, and so first we're going to look at what's in the journal section. Now, some of you, if you have VHD custom reports, there's not too much in the custom reports that pertains to SOs. So if you have some unique requirements, we can certainly talk about modifying the journals or the summaries that have to do with SOs that come with Retail Pro. I'm just going to give you a quick tour of what's already there. All right, so in the journal section, right, I've got the deposit journal, and that's just a quick header-oriented list of what you have of the activity, okay, for a certain time frame. I don't have that many orders in here, so I'm just running these wide open, but you certainly can restrict by date ranges. All right, so let me get this down where you can see it. All right, so this is a deposit journal. You can filter to just customer orders, just special orders, just layaways. You've got a name and some date filters that you can use or not, how much the original order was for, what the deposit balance is, if any, and what's due. So really quick yardstick on where you stand with your special orders. Okay, now you will notice that not all the orders that we've been dealing with today are on here. That's because you don't see inactive orders on this deposit journal. So if you've inactivated it, you won't see it on here. And those are the ones where you've got deposit balance 0 and balance due 0, technically speaking. And those are, if you inactivate them, they're automatically excluded from this. It's supposed to show open orders and whether or not anybody owes anybody anything. Deposit journal with details, similar, only that one shows you what items are still open. So we're going to whip through that one really quick. All right, so get this down where we can see it. So I need to go down farther than that. This is a landscape report, right? So I've got a little extra stuff like hanging out here. That looks like the whole-ish thing, right? So similar to the other one, only you've got detail. So you know what's sitting on those orders if you need it. All right, so this would be everything that you have on order, total at the bottom. Okay, that's the entire outstanding balance that you have there. Okay, so that's the other journal. A layaway journal is basically targeted just at the layaways. Okay, to show you, let's see, and do I have to? Nope, I guess I don't have to restrict it. Okay, so this is designed to show you just the layaways, right? So managing layaways, if you actually do layaways, it's something that everybody should be doing because you've got that stuff sitting out in the back, not available for sale. And if your layaway customers are not making their payments on time, you want to monitor this and give them a call, prompt them, make sure that that merchandise is not sitting there to the point where you ended up marking it down, right? And then now you're losing money. Okay, so layaway journal. Past due layaways, this is basically the same kind of report, but with the cutoff, right? So you can structure your layaways so that we can age them, basically. So who hasn't made a payment? This one, I just have one layaway in here, and I created it today, so not really going to be aging all that well. But if you're interested in using this report, we can have one of the trainers help you with organizing that, right? This day and age, there's a lot of people who do not do layaways. It's kind of a dying concept, but we do know that there are people who still do it. If you do it, use the tools here to manage that outstanding balance, because you're, that is your money that's sitting there, even though you've got some customer deposit on it to secure it. This is a place where your profit goes to die if you're not managing it. Unfilled SOs, so these are SOs that you still owe people, right? So they haven't been picked up. This one, you can tell the system only show me those that are 100% unfilled. You can also restrict it to just customer orders or just special orders, if you like. So in this case, layaways, this would be similar to your layaway journal or your past due. And so if you're doing this, you may only want to do customer orders and special orders. Well, that's your choice, right? And so here's the things that still have open amounts on them. So we haven't given the customer these. We haven't either recorded sale or we haven't generated a receipt. Okay, that picks the item up. Okay, so that's all the journal reports. Okay, there are a couple of summary reports. And so let's go down here in the summary section to the ones that start with SO. Okay. And when we talk about these reports, I also like to mention if you are dealing with sales orders from the web. Okay, so some of you have used Retail Dimensions integration to websites, and so those orders, when they're placed on the web, they come into Retail Pro as a web customer order usually, and those are, generally they come in, right, and you need to know what have I sold on the web. I need to pull that, I need to put it in a box, and I need to send it to my customer. Okay, so one of the tools that you have at your disposal, okay, is this fulfillment report, actually, that's in the summary section. And so if I run this, and I'm just going to tell it to do number, blah, blah, 1%. Can't find my, all right, well, let's not do that. Let's just look and see what's here. Okay. So typically what you would do is say, what came in, what new orders do I have today, right? Print the fulfillment report, and this is 1 page per order. So it's designed kind of to be like a pick list or a packing list or something of that nature. Now, some of you may have this function performed over on the RDI side. Some may not. Okay, but this is a way that you can say, what do I have? What orders do I have in a certain day range or whatever that have not been filled yet? So print me this page. I'm going to go pull this out of, I owe them one of these, and one of these, right? Or no, I don't owe them one of those. I actually sent them the small. So I need to pull a medium and a large and put it in a box and send it to them, or pull it, call the customer, have them come and get it. So this is going to be a multi-page document if you have multiple orders, right? So this is page 2. This is a separate order. I owe them a small one of those and a medium one of those. So go pull those, put them in a box. So in this case, right, this already has shipping on it, right? So this was designed from the get-go to be pull it and ship it when I have it, okay? And so you pull it, you put it in a box, okay, and then you tell the system, right, this customer order 00002, once you pull it and put it in the box, this is where record sale comes in, 00002. That one's already been, where is it? It's been inactivated maybe? Show inactive, 00002. This one has been inactivated. Okay, so I'm going to activate it real quick. All right, so this customer order, right? Oh, we already sent it. So why is this telling me? Hang on one sec. Back to report. Oh, we don't know it. Never mind. All right, so let's look at the next one. All right, so this one, we have one due on this one, and part of it's been picked up. Right, so we would put that one in the box, okay, and then tell the system that this one's been shipped. I'm trying to find one where both of them are due. So this one has both of them due, and this is, oh, that's a layaway, so we don't want that one. Let's see, customer order, due. All right, so this one hasn't been paid for, so we could pay for it. Anyway, I hope you get the drift, right? This is, you know, packing list or pick list that you can use for special orders, customer orders, to pull the merchandise and process it through. So that's the SO fulfillment report. Okay, this committed merchandise, this is a summary, okay, of what you have committed on SOs. It can be restricted to just special orders or customer orders. So these things, if we restrict it to this, then it's what's committed that I have to watch for when I get my POs in, right? So a layaway, basically, you wouldn't necessarily need to know that, okay, what's committed, unless you're going to audit what's back there on your shelf, right? So one use for this committed report is to say, okay, print me all my open layaways, okay, and this doesn't print the actual layaways themselves, but a total of how many things you should have sitting back there on the layaway shelf, right? So you can run this report, say, okay, so in my layaway area, I should have a large one of these and a medium one of these, right? Go make sure they're back there. And if there's anything extra back there, it should be going out on the floor, okay? Unless you've got a good reason why it's still sitting back there. Okay, so committed merchandise is a summary level of what items are committed out, right? So this doesn't include the POs. This just shows what you've committed out to customers. So that's the grand total of everything you have on customer orders or special orders that you haven't delivered to the customer. All right, so if you're receiving this vendor, right, and all those T's came in, and I know that I have orders outstanding for them, right, you can print this and make sure you pull those before you put the rest in stock. Okay, that's one way that this is used. Okay, so that's most of the reports, okay, that we cover in this section, right? So I'm going to go back. I'm back to Retail Pro. All right, so the last thing that we usually talk about here is managing your active and inactive orders. Right. So right now, right, I have sales orders and I'm showing both the active and the inactive. I can tell that two ways, right? It says sales orders here. There's no active only on my little blue bar. Okay. Also, my hide inactive button, right, shows hide, right? If I click on hide inactive, now I'm only seeing the active ones. You can see that. Okay. So when you're finished, right, with an order, okay, you can inactivate it. So if we've delivered this to the customer, we can inactivate it. Nobody, hang on. We've delivered that to the customer, and it thinks it's got a deposit. So this is the one I was having the problem with, right? And it thinks we've used the deposit. So that's going to be a bad example. Let me try this one. Balance due. Okay, so this order, right? Customer ordered it, right? We haven't taken any money. So if I click on this deposit button right here, we have not taken any money. Okay, so if the customer calls and says, never mind, right? We can inactivate this even though they owe us money, okay? Because we have not taken any of the customer's money. So if we inactivate it, no biggie. Okay. If we owe the customer money, okay, so like let's say on this special order here, right? If we owe the customer money and we try to inactivate it, it's going to want to do something with this money. Okay, so that $8, unless we tell it differently, if we inactivate, it's going to want to create a store credit for that customer for that amount, right? So that's the prompt that I got just a second ago, right? If that's not what you want to do, okay, then what you need to do is you need to tell this sales order that we don't, that we no longer have money on deposit. So in this case, customer ordered this, right, gave us some money, okay, but for whatever reason, let's say we couldn't get it, right, or he changed his mind and we're going to give him his deposit back, okay. What you would want to do in the sales order, go to the deposit screen, okay, click new, okay, and instead of taking the rest of his money, okay, we're going to want to tell the system to give his money back, right? So we're going to do a minus $8. We're going to tender that. I'm going to go ahead and just give it to him in cash. Okay, I'm going to update that. So now we've given him his money back. Okay, I go back here. Right, so now deposit balance, we do not have any of the customer's money. Okay, he owes us for the whole thing. Okay, so if I inactivate this now, okay, it's not going to try to create a deposit. Okay, so if I look at my deposit window here, that's my original deposit. Here's my refund of the deposit, right? So we don't owe the customer anything. If he still wants the item, it's on order, but if I inactivate it, it's no longer on order and no longer part of your committed structure. Okay. All right, let's see. Another thing that's like a more recent thing with sales orders is there is now a delete. Let me see. This is not my system, so I'm not really sure that the delete actually works in this version. But let's say I've got this. All right, let's make sure there's no activity on this. 25, so details, no money. Okay, so if you haven't taken any money ever, you now, and so if some of you have older versions, this might not work on your version. Yeah, okay, so this one has been pulled out or something, so we can't actually delete it. But there is a feature now if you create an order and you haven't sent it anywhere and you're a single store, right, that you can actually delete it. Okay, most of the time, if you create an order, right, you probably have taken some money on it, and maybe it's passed through a couple of hands, and then once we have that, then we have to keep the original sales order for an audit trail, and delete is not an option. Okay, so that you might see that as an available item on some of your systems. All right. That's really the bulk of what we cover on this SO, right? And so doesn't look like I have any questions, problems, anything like that. So if any of you do have any final questions, if you want to either click the raise your hand icon or drop into the chat, then I can try to answer them. If you didn't get all your questions answered with this and you want to book a little time with the trainer, you're certainly welcome to do that. Call or email service@bighairydog.com, or email into the tech if you just have a simple question that you think can be answered. This recording of this webinar will be emailed out to anybody who attended and anybody who signed up and didn't attend. It will also be posted on our website. So currently we have a Big Hairy Dog website, and we're posting all our recorded webinars out on the website. Under, I think, video is the banner that you can get to. So it is actually a YouTube channel that we have all on our own, and so you're welcome to peruse that. There's all kinds of stuff on there. In addition to our recorded webinars, there's some shorter videos that you can look at, but what we're trying to do is make these things available. So if you if your mind wandered or you need to revisit any of the things that I showed you here today, you'll have that. You'll have a link, and you'll be able to get back to it on our YouTube channel within a couple of days. It'll be posted out there. All right. So it doesn't look like anybody has any questions, right? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off.